Gun laws in the country. Since that time, firearms makers in the state
coming to current gun laws in our state.
Controversial new gun rule from the U.S. Justice Department.
Cops use this on armed drivers. Imagine being pulled over. You did nothing wrong, your gun is legal, and you're calm and cooperative. But the moment you tell the officer you're armed, or they spot your concealed carry card, the mood shifts. Suddenly, it's not a routine stop anymore. Now they're searching your car, treating you like a suspect, and claiming it's all for their safety. Sound familiar? What most gun owners don't realize is this: courts are finally pushing back. In a powerful decision, the Second Circuit just ruled that being a legal gun owner does not automatically give police the right to search your vehicle. It's a constitutional game changer, but only if you understand how to use it. In this video, we're going to break down the real legal principles behind the ruling in Sana v. Andruski, what it means for concealed carriers and lawful gun owners across the country, and how to assert your rights without escalating a dangerous situation. This is Survival Firearms, and this one could save your freedom. Chapter 1. The case that changed everything. This all began with a traffic stop that turned into a major constitutional fight. A man named Sana was pulled over by an officer in New York. He was calm, respectful, and informed the officer he had a legal firearm, just as responsible gun owners are trained to do. But instead of simply verifying the license and moving on, the officer ordered him out of the car and began a full search, without a warrant or probable cause. Here's why that matters. Sana wasn't doing anything suspicious beyond disclosing that he had a firearm. He had a valid concealed carry license from another state. The officer used the presence of a gun alone to justify a vehicle search. There was no sign of danger, threat, or erratic behavior from the driver. The entire stop was recorded, and the officer admitted the gun was the only reason for the search. The case went to court, and what followed was one of the most important rulings in recent history for the Fourth Amendment and lawful gun ownership. The judge ruled the search unconstitutional, and for the first time, a federal appellate court clearly stated, having a firearm does not give an automatic license to violate your rights. This case now sets a federal precedent, and it could mean the difference between a traffic ticket and a life-altering felony for law-abiding gun owners. Chapter 2. Your rights don't disappear. The Fourth Amendment protects you from unreasonable searches and seizures. But in the real world, especially for gun owners, that line has been blurred by vague claims of officer safety. Too often, cops assume that if you have a gun, even legally, they suddenly have more authority than they actually do. Let's break this down. The Constitution requires that police have either probable cause, a warrant, or consent to search. The presence of a legal firearm does not, on its own, create probable cause. Officer safety is important, but it can't override your rights without actual evidence of a threat. Courts are now saying officers must consider the full context, not just the fact that you're armed. This ruling in Sana v. Andruski puts it plainly. Your status as a gun owner does not automatically strip away your Fourth Amendment protections. It's a direct response to the growing trend of officers treating lawful carry as justification for intrusive searches. What this means is clear. Police can no longer use your gun as a legal shortcut, and if they do, you now have case law to fight back. Chapter 3. Why your gun is not a probable cause. This is where most gun owners get trapped. You tell the officer about your firearm, thinking you're doing the right thing, and suddenly the conversation turns into a fishing expedition. But here's what the Second Circuit just confirmed. A legal firearm is not inherently suspicious. The officer must articulate specific facts that suggest criminal behavior. Simply being armed without more does not meet the legal standard for probable cause. Cops cannot claim they feared for their safety without real, observable indicators of danger. This destroys one of the most common excuses officers have used for decades, that the mere knowledge of a gun is enough to justify searching your car. Think about how powerful this is. For years, courts gave officers enormous leeway when they said, "I saw a gun, so I searched." Now, that justification has a wall around it. A legal firearm can no longer be twisted into a shortcut to sidestep your rights. But here's the catch. You need to know your rights and be prepared to assert them calmly, respectfully, and firmly. Chapter 4. How this applies to concealed carriers. If you carry concealed or travel between states, this ruling has massive implications. Many officers assume that an out-of-state permit is grounds for further investigation. That's no longer defensible, at least not without more evidence. Let's explore some key protections this ruling reinforces. Officers cannot detain or search you solely because you're carrying legally. They can't treat a firearm permit as a free pass to escalate a stop. They must justify any search with observable facts, not just assumptions or hunches. Cross-state travelers, even with out-of-state permits, retain Fourth Amendment protections. This matters because most gun owners don't realize how vulnerable they are when crossing borders. A permit from Florida, Texas, or Pennsylvania may not be recognized in New York or California, but that doesn't erase your constitutional rights. The court's message is clear. Gun ownership cannot be criminalized through suspicion alone. You are innocent until proven guilty, not suspicious until proven safe. Chapter 5. One line that changes everything. Let's get real. What you say during a stop can either protect you or hand officers an excuse to cross the line. The wrong words can trigger a search, an arrest, or worse. That's why it's critical to know how to speak when you're armed. Here's a simple guide. Do. Inform the officer that you are legally carrying. If your state requires disclosure, don't. Volunteer unnecessary details like where the gun is hidden or how much ammo you have. Do. Present your carry permit calmly if asked. Don't. Use language like I have a weapon and say I am lawfully carrying a firearm. Do. Ask, am I being detained or am I free to go? If the conversation drags on without cause. Don't. Give consent to a search unless they have a warrant or probable cause. And remember, you always have the right to remain silent beyond what your state's law mandates. You have the right to refuse a search. You have the right to ask for an attorney. Exercise those rights respectfully but firmly. Because now, with rulings like Sana v. Andruski on your side, the law is finally catching up to common sense. Chapter 6. Fear is not a probable cause. For decades, officers have justified searches by saying they felt nervous or weren't sure what was in the car. And while officer safety matters, the courts are now saying that vague fear is not enough to override your constitutional rights. Let's clarify what this means for you. The law requires specific, articulable facts, not gut feelings. Nervousness alone, even if you have a legal gun, doesn't justify a search. Courts are rejecting blanket statements like he had a gun, so I searched. The standard is now evidence, not emotion. This matters because most gun owners are respectful and calm. But the moment an officer says they feel nervous, they often escalate to a full vehicle search. That ends now. The Sana decision reinforces that fear alone is not probable cause. It sets a boundary. The Constitution does not bend simply because an officer is uncomfortable. Your rights don't disappear the moment they see a firearm. And if they push beyond that line, courts may side with you, not them. Chapter 7. This one word ruins your case. Here's a critical point that many gun owners miss. Even if the officer has no right to search, if you say, okay, you've just given them legal permission. And once you give consent, it's game over. Anything they find is admissible even if the stop was unconstitutional. You must remember, police often ask deceptively polite questions like, mind if I take a quick look? If you say yes, they no longer need probable cause. Voluntary consent waives your Fourth Amendment rights. Even if the search violates procedure, courts may still allow the evidence. The Sana case didn't involve consent, which is one reason the search was thrown out. But if he had said, sure, go ahead, the ruling would have been different. So here's what you say. I do not consent to any searches. That's it. Be polite, be clear, but never, ever give them a free pass. Your legal firearm is not a crime. Don't let a single word make it one. Chapter 8. The power of Bodycam and Dashcam evidence. One of the biggest reasons Sana v. Andruski resulted in a win was that the entire stop was recorded. The officer admitted he searched based solely on the gun, and the footage confirmed it. Without that video, this case might have ended very differently. This is why you need to take charge of your own record. Always assume your encounter is being recorded, and record it yourself if legal in your state. Use a dashcam that automatically saves footage in the cloud. Keep interactions calm, respectful, and clear. The camera is your witness. If the officer violates your rights, video evidence could be the key to winning in court. Courts don't care what you think happened. They care what can be proven. In Sana's case, the facts were undeniable because the officer's own body cam told the story. In a world where your word can be dismissed, let the camera speak for you. Chapter 9. How to prepare. Before you're pulled over, what you do before the blue lights appear can determine how the stop ends. Legal firearm owners must prepare, not panic. That means knowing your rights and having the tools ready to assert them. Here's a quick checklist. Keep your license, registration, and carry permit in an accessible spot. Install a front-facing dash cam that records and uploads automatically. Know your state's laws on disclosure. Some require you to notify, others do not. Memorize one sentence. I do not consent to any searches. Preparation prevents panic. When you're calm, officers are less likely to escalate. The Sana decision is a shield, but only if you know how to hold it. The law is evolving in your favor. Don't let ignorance turn a routine stop into a legal nightmare. Chapter 10. This case could change everything. Here's the big picture. The Second Circuit's ruling doesn't just apply to one man, it sends a signal to courts and police departments nationwide. It sets a new boundary for how far officers can go when a lawful gun is involved. And here's why that matters now more than ever. Gun-related traffic stops are increasing across the country. More states are adopting permitless carry and constitutional carry laws. Courts are starting to unify behind stronger Fourth Amendment interpretations. A future Supreme Court case could expand this ruling nationwide. If that happens, Sana vs. Andruski may become the foundation for a major shift in how law enforcement handles gun owners. Your car, your rights, and your dignity would finally be backed by national precedent. But even now, this ruling gives you real armor, and every gun owner needs to know it exists. Protect yourself before you're pulled over. If you take one thing from this video, let it be that your legal gun doesn't erase your rights. But police will still act like it does unless you know how to stand your ground. Not with force, but with facts, case law, and composure. Sana v. Andruski is not just a legal win. It's a tool, a precedent, a weapon in your legal arsenal. But it only works if you're informed and prepared. At Survival Firearms, our mission is to arm you with the truth, because one bad stop can change your life, but one smart decision can save it. Subscribe now, share this video with every concealed carrier you know, and remember, stay trained, stay smart, and stay free.